We are back from the break, and we're gonna start off with just remembering TNA. Just remembering some of the great moments. And for me personally, I didn't watch TNA like I wasn't a super diehard fan. Like I started watching TNA due to like my cousin. Shout out to Devon. I remember Devon would just watch TNA, and I would go over to his house, and he'd be watching. I'd be like, dang, like I ain't never seen this. It's an octagon ring. Like what? And that's the things that stood out to me the most was the octagon ring itself, before they changed it, and to me that's probably one of the terrible decisions that they made was making it come like that, because it made them stand out, the octagon ring, but then just changing it to a regular ring and becoming more like the WWE and stuff like that, or just regular wrestling. To me, I think they should have kept the octagon ring. But some of the other things that just stood out to me was just simply AJ Styles. Like before AJ Styles ever came into the WWE, I just remember watching AJ Styles back on TNA, and I was like, this dude is on a whole nother level. He was kind of like he looked at like, at that time, he kind of looked at like John Cena somewhat. The haircut and stuff, he didn't look the same way, the long hair like AJ Styles now. And then of course Samoa Joe, and of course Abyss and Christopher Daniels. Those are the people that stood out to me before it started, becoming, like a bunch of WWE wrestlers start going there and everything like that. But those are the people that stood out to me. But yeah, let me get your thoughts on what are some of the things you think of when just remembering TNA.
So when I think of TNA, man, the first thing I think of is Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle really got to show off on like how much of a missed opportunity it was for WWE to let him go. Understandably, it was like a huge safety issue for why they let him go, but I wouldn't have let it happen because Kurt showed off he still has the charisma and he can still wrestle like a machine back in TNA.
Mm-hmm.
I know when he was running out of time and he had to go back to WWE, I'm like, man, this did not have to happen like the way it was, but it is what it is. And I really do like, I like how if you weren't getting your just dues or you weren't getting the best of what you could get out of WWE, coming down to TNA was probably the best thing because that's how you get to see how well you could be. That's why when I saw Christian go down to TNA, it was like a 180. It was like, yo, you got all this potential and they squandered you like this? Come on. And that's one of the biggest things about TNA. They let their stars be stars until, Hulk Hogan showed up. And it was just like, yo, you get to really see how dope a lot of these wrestlers are without them having to be under the WWE banner. Well, that's how we got Bully Ray, aka, what's it called? Dudley.
Yeah, Bubba Ray.
Yeah. And that's just like, bro, you're getting to see what he can be when he's just like a full on, heel. And dude did it well. And then you'll top out, like you said, you got to see talent that are now in the WWE or who are dudes were waiting and anticipating to see get things done, like Samoa Joe. Mm-hmm. So to me, TNA was like, it made a two show or the B show, but at least it was something to be like, man, my favorite wrestler might be on, and he's gonna at least be treated like a star there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I let Hulk Hogan involved.
Yeah, and that was one thing too. Like to go towards what you're saying. I didn't even know. First off, I didn't even know Christian was on TNA. Like, see, I didn't know Christian ever made his way to TNA, but that is one thing I did notice, that it did let stars kind of do their own thing. Like Matt Hardy, he became Broken Matt Hardy on TNA, which pretty much was Matt Hardy's coming out party as a singles competitor, because up until before becoming Broken Matt Hardy, it was just like he was great with Jeff Hardy, but Jeff Hardy was obviously the star out of the group. And then every single time Matt would become a singles competitor, it just was like he would just be there. He didn't really have nothing that stood out that made him, made you want to watch him outside of him being a part of the Hardy Boys. But then he was able to do Broken Matt Hardy. and it was actually good in TNA. And then then when he came back to the WWE, they turned it to Woken Matt Hardy, and it didn't catch on the same way. It didn't have the same feeling as Broken Matt Hardy. But yeah, I guess so. TNA has some good things about it for sure, definitely. And but then the thing is also, I just wanted to point out one more thing. Like, I feel like hopefully AEW doesn't make that mistake like TNA did. It seemed like TNA just took in a bunch of WWE wrestlers, and they allowed it to change their company. Like, why did they change the Octagon ring? Like, I want to know why did they change that? Because to me, I actually liked it.
I can tell you that right now.
Why?
So what ended up happening was Hulk Hogan ended up coming into the company. He got a lot of control, which is like crazy. One of the things he wanted to change was actually changing the ring from an octagon to a square. And a lot of fans had backlash, but he was trying to do it in a way to be like, look, there's a lot of changes coming away and a lot of good things. This is one of the things I feel that it will be a great change for things to go by. But I'm like, once you do that, you kind of get rid of the identity of TNA, man.
He did.
And then when the worst part about it is they were trying to make TNA directly compete with Monday Night Raw. Oh boy.
Yeah. They
got bodied. It wasn't even a contest.
But that's the problem. Other promotions shouldn't even look at the WWE as competition. At least when they're small. Because if you're small and just building yourself up, and you're like WWE's in a whole nother league, because WWE gets interviewed on SportsCenter. People look at the WWE, and the WWE is the brand of wrestling. When you think wrestling, most of the time you're going to think WWE. And then if you're a real wrestling fan, you're going to probably think, okay, I'm going to watch pro wrestling in Japan or something like that, or these other promotions. But when people just naturally just think of wrestling, they go WWE. It's like, you shouldn't be trying to compete with them. And AEW, even though AEW's been winning a lot of the battles on Wednesday night with NXT, to me, it's just, they shouldn't really try to be competing with the WWE. They just need to be the best AEW and find their own niche, find whatever they need to do to make them stand out. And TNA, what made them stand out was the Octagon ring, and they need to get back into that. They need to do that. They had a lot of great matches. I remember even Jeff Hardy had some great matches when he was in TNA as well. So,
careful. Because I should probably show you that time Jeff Hardy showed up drugged out for a pay-per-view, actually.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, the whole entire reason why he was like let out of the WWE is because he couldn't keep his drug use under control. And that's why they let him out. Then he ended up having that terrible match with Sting. And then what happening was, apparently Sting gave him a come to Jesus moment, and then, Jeff became clean. So that's why, so that's why Jeff is in the situation he's in.
But see, even Kurt Angle has some great matches, yeah. Yeah, I wish during that time Kurt Angle was still in the WWE, because we still would have got some phenomenal matches, because Kurt Angle at that time was still the wrestling machine, like you said. But he had some great matches down in TNA with AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and things like that. So, and wrestlers like that.
If I'm not mistaken, at one point Kurt Angle held almost every single belt in the company at the same time.
See, that's a whole part of Kurt Angle's career that we don't even really acknowledge, or the WWE doesn't acknowledge. And it's like, I mean, I get it, because TNA is not part of the WWE, but it's still part of Kurt Angle's career, and it's still phenomenal matches that I would like to see on the WWE network, if it's not already there, though. I'm not sure. I haven't checked for that, but.
Nah. But hey, I can say this: you can buy the TNA app for like $3.99, and you can watch all those matches for free.
And guess what? I will not be doing that. I only played $9.99 for WWE Network. I did not even know TNA had a network or app. I ain't watching TNA right now. I'm probably gonna get the TNA wrestling game though. I'm gonna get that old wrestling game and do some gamer videos with that. That's as far as I'm going to go with the TNA support.
If you have Yeah, if you have an emulator, you can download it now. The one that came out for the PS2, you totally can do it.
Okay, it came out for Xbox
Oh, because you know
360.
why?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you know, like Xavier Woods is in one of those games. You know that.
Oh, see. Oh yeah, Xavier Woods was on TNA. See, dang, that was before the New Day, before all that. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.